we'll take you to Canberra. We're hearing now from the Minister, Murray Watt. He's giving an update on the foot and mouth disease threat.
I just wanted to provide people with another update on foot and mouth disease in Indonesia and what we're doing about it. From the outset, it's important to remember that Australia is foot and mouth disease free. It remains that way. I know there's been a lot of commentary about this, but that's probably the most important message I can continue to give people, particularly to our overseas customers. And over the last few weeks, you may have heard me talk about our two-pronged approach to responding to the foot and mouth disease outbreak in Indonesia, as well as the outbreak of lumpy skin disease. And that two-pronged approach has been about taking action at home and abroad, helping our Indonesian neighbours to limit the spread of the disease overseas, and implementing the strongest response to a biosecurity threat in our nation's history. Today, I'm pleased to announce a third prong, taking action now to ensure that we are fully prepared if we were to see an outbreak to occur here. This is the next logical step in our plan around managing the risk of an outbreak and ensuring that we are fully prepared. This step, which I'll say a bit more about, builds on the new measures that we have already taken over the last few weeks. Some of the things have been never done by any Australian government. We've, for the first time ever, deployed sanitation foot mats in every international airport in Australia for passengers returning from Indonesia. For the first time ever, we've declared biosecurity response zones in every international airport in Australia to give biosecurity officers stronger powers. We are biosecurity profiling 100% of travellers, including extra assessment for passengers who have recently been in Indonesia. We are doing 100% screening of all mail items coming from Indonesia to pick up those meat products, which, as I've said, are the highest risk in terms of entry of the disease. We've redeployed biosecurity detector dogs to priority airports, and as you would have seen this week, they're already picking up things that shouldn't be coming back into the country. We've increased questioning of returning passengers, and of course, we've started providing expert technical advice and providing more than 1 million foot and mouth disease vaccines and over 400,000 lumpy skin disease vaccines to Indonesia. As I said, though, today we are adding a third prong to our response to this outbreak that is on our doorstep. And that's because while the risk of foot and mouth disease or lumpy skin disease entering Australia is low, it is not zero. And we cannot assume that it will stay that way. We need to be fully prepared. Experts have assessed the risk of a foot and mouth disease incursion in Australia in the next 5 years as 11.6% and 28% for lumpy skin disease. So it is prudent to make sure that we are prepared now. And that's because good governments plan for the best and prepare for the worst. That's exactly what we are doing. That's what we've done on natural disaster management ever since we came to office, and that's what we're doing with biosecurity threats such as these diseases. Now, while the federal, state and territory governments all have thorough, well-developed biosecurity response plans in place, we will leave no stone unturned to ensure that we are ready should an outbreak occur here. And that's why I have directed the establishment of a new Commonwealth taskforce to thoroughly assess our current level of national preparedness for these diseases and advise of any improvements that might be needed. The new Exotic Animal Disease Preparedness Taskforce will include officials from a range of government departments, including the Australian Defence Force, Australian Border Force and Animal Health Australia. By bringing together the best expertise from across government, we can ensure that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities if there were to be an outbreak, and that there are no gaps in our response. Importantly, this task force will be co-led by a senior officer of the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry and the Director General of Emergency Management Australia, bringing together both the experts in biosecurity and animal health and our experts in disaster management. It will work closely with states, territories and industry to ensure that we are all fully prepared if an outbreak were to occur. The taskforce will get to work immediately, conducting a series of scenario-based exercises within the next month. We have learned the lessons from the outbreak of COVID-19 and the former government's lack of preparedness to respond to it. We are determined to not make the same mistakes that they made. They were too slow on vaccines, too slow on rats, and Australians paid the price. We can do better than that by being fully prepared. If there were to be a major biosecurity outbreak in Australia, there is simply no time for delay. So I repeat, good governments plan for the best and prepare for the worst. That's what we're doing here, and that's what we'll continue to do.